During my nearly 30 years in journalism, and particularly during my years spent as a feature writer, I've interviewed people facing some of the worst experiences life can throw at us. I'm talking about people who were living with constant extreme pain or disfigurement, or who were living with a terminal diagnosis, or who had a child with a terminal diagnosis. People who had hit rock bottom through drug addiction, alcohol addiction, gambling, people who had lost a loved one in particularly tragic circumstances. And I was always amazed and very thankful that they would be willing to take time to talk to me and make their story public. And telling their story was a responsibility that I took very seriously. I always wanted to make sure to do it justice and to tell it in a way that uniquely represented them and was going to have the most impact. They were some of the best days of my career because I really knew that together with them, I was helping to make a difference. And my goal for this channel, as we explore how to age and live well, is to share inspirational people with you whose experience can help enrich our lives. What I didn't realise back in those days of feature writing was that all those hours spent listening to individuals who had experienced huge suffering was teaching me, and it was changing me. These were people who, despite facing the worst, chose to do their best. They put their grief and their pain to the side to talk to me. They chose to share their experience to help others facing similar challenges and to support the hospices, charities and other organisations that were supporting them. They weren't being paid. There was no benefit to them other than fulfilling their wish to help others. These were special people. I did know that back then, and I really felt it as we spoke. They, however, never saw themselves as special or doing anything particularly remarkable. And what I learned from them taught me what is at the core of happiness and what it means to live well, and I want to pass it on. So first of all, a single uniting sentiment that I used to hear time and time again from the people who chose to share their story was this. When I used to tell them how sorry I was that they were going through something or had been through something really difficult, they would say, well, there's always someone going through worse. Or when they were talking about loss, they would often describe how grateful they were just to have experienced the love that they had, even if it wasn't for a long time. In other words, they felt lucky to have had that time together in the first place. And I remember Susanne McCafferty, who described herself to me as one of the unluckiest people walking. When I interviewed her back in 2013, she was 47 and in a hospice with a terminal cancer diagnosis. In her life, she'd faced one blow after another, beating cancer 4 times only for it to return in an untreatable form in 2010. Not only that, but while working as a nurse, she was instantly blinded in her right eye after being attacked by a mental health patient. Then diabetes caused her to lose her sight in the other eye. And here she was, talking to me near the end of her life because she wanted to support the cosmetic artist who'd given her semi-permanent makeup and eyebrows, which helped her feel much better in such difficult circumstances. And she was so bright and cheerful as I spoke to her, despite the fact that she told me she was in a lot of pain. And she said she wanted to tell others not to give up hope. She believed being positive had kept her alive longer. She told me, I'm not bitter. What's the point? If I was going to sit and brood about my situation, I'd have been dead a long time ago. Susanne may have been facing the worst, but she chose to make the best of it and see the best in it. Our conversation has always stayed with me. It told me everything I needed to know about how to make the best of life regardless of our situation, but it took years for it to truly sink in. Susanne was describing the basis of how to be happy, and it begins and ends with one thing, and that's choice. She chose not to waste time and energy denying, blaming, tormenting herself by asking, why me? Instead, choosing to make the most of the time that she had. Every day is an opportunity, and the time we have here with our loved ones, every day is precious. What also unites these inspiring people was their desire to serve. Even in our darkest hour, we can still be looking for ways to help others, support others, and be thankful for what they're giving us, just like Susanne. It's what helps us bring meaning to our lives and our individual experiences of life. A situation can be a source of darkness, or it can be turned into a source of light for us and others. In the past, I also had the privilege of working with Judy Murray on her weekly newspaper column. She's the mother of former world #1 tennis players Andy and Jamie Murray, and she coached them as kids and instilled in them the work ethic that drove them to become elite athletes. But when Sir Andy Murray was rising to fame as a tennis star, the tabloid press set their sights on Judy and really gave her a hard time, casting her as this aggressive, pushy parent. And she found the relentless criticism and judgment really hard to take. But she had to learn to focus on the things she could control instead. Eventually, the criticism stopped, the press moved on. But the reality when I worked with Judy is that she was so far from pushy. She was always a pleasure to talk to and so full of wisdom. And she spoke about how in tennis, when you're under the most pressure, you can't afford to think about what happens if you miss or win the next point, or think about how that particular set could pan out. The only thing you can afford to focus on is moment to moment, second to second. You focus on winning this point and only this point. Then you move on to the next. Susanne McCafferty was only focused on making the most of today. That was what gave her hope. And making the most of today is a sentiment that also stuck with me. Because we often go through life looking at the horizon, scanning for the things that could go wrong, or telling ourselves we'll be happy when we get more money, or we get a better job, or a relationship, or when we retire. Whatever it is, we're making the same mistake as a tennis player who can't focus on the point they're playing. And that's how you lose in life, because the only moment we have is now. And if we can choose to be content in this single moment and then keep extending it moment to moment, that's how we wind up happy people. It's how we win. And I believe for most of us, including me, happiness is a choice we have to consciously make daily, being aware of the conversations we're having with ourselves and others, and rephrasing what we're saying and thinking to find the good and feel the good rather than the bad. Personally, I benefit a lot from doing a little daily visualization that helps me tune into the moment. And I've written about it, and I share more life learnings in a special area I've created on my website called The Well. You'll find it at honest.scott/the-well, which is also linked below. And also over on my website, if you scroll down to the bottom of any page, you'll be able to sign up for my monthly newsletter where I bring you all my latest content so you don't miss a thing. And if you'd like to further support the channel and access vlogs and behind the scenes content from me, you can join the channel as a member using the link below. You're watching this because you want to live better for longer. That's what we focus on this channel. And our attitude and approach to life is such an essential part of that. So now I'd love you to share your experiences and what brings you happiness and contentment, because we learn best from each other. So let me know in the comments. But for now, thank you so much for being here with me today.